Good evening, ladies and gentlemen of the committee. I love a good committee. It's weird to be on this side. Can everyone hear me? Thank you so much for having me. I have a suggestion to add to the rules. I have spent a lot of time in the last few days talking about checks and balances. It's the one thing in a couple hundred years of democracy that really does stand the test of time, which is the concept of checks and balances. And in our state, well, indeed in the country, but for our purposes today, I think there's no more important check and balance than that between the voter and the elected official. And basically we get elected, we come up here, we do our business, and then every couple of years the voters have a say. They have the ability to put the check on us and either commend us, re-elect us, or vote us out and tell the body politic, hey, I'd like to go in a different direction. In order for them to do that, in order for the voters to be able to make an informed decision, they have to be able to see what's going on. And when we think about how we want to conduct business for the next couple of years, one suggestion I have for the committee in terms of changing how we do business in the past is to change the suspension of the rules rule. For those in the audience, I know you guys all know this, but currently we can suspend the rules that we operate by in the House. That provides a lot of those notice requirements for bills. That gives people a heads up that debates and votes are coming down the line. We can suspend those rules, and we often do right at the end of session, with only the approval of the House Majority Leader. In this case, it's the Democrat, because the Democrats are in charge, and the House Minority Leader, which would be the Republicans. If those two people agree to suspend the rules, then we can suspend the rules. And what happens when the rules are suspended is a big, giant, dark, black velvet drape just comes down over the whole process. And it's super hard for the reps to even keep up with what happens in those days when the rules are suspended. It's really hard for the advocates who have experience up here year after year. It's near impossible for the average voter to see what happens. I just did a little count while we were in session, and in the last 2 days of the session last year in June, and that was, if I remember right, it was Friday and Saturday, we took 252 votes in the last 2 days. It was vote after vote after vote after vote. There's no way that the average member of the public, the average voter, can catch up with that, can stay on top of that, can see what's going on. Never mind having a substantive debate about many of those votes, especially when they've come out of the sub-A process, which I know other people are talking about today. So my proposal is simple. It would be to just not get rid of the concept of suspension of rules. There are times when it is necessary, but it shouldn't be used often and it shouldn't be used lightly. And I would suggest that we change it from approval of the majority and the minority leader to a 2/3 vote of the members of the House of Representatives. If 2/3 vote to suspend the rules, well, then we can suspend the rules and go on our way. That's my thought. I'd be happy to answer any questions about that. I have a couple thoughts about the substantive addition about sexual harassment investigative piece.
Any questions at this point? Representative Chip.
Thank you, Chair. Thank you, Representative. Relative to checks and balances, would you not agree that the most marginalized population in the House, which is the minority caucus, approving that is indeed a check?
Sorry, can you say that again? I'm having trouble hearing.
Oh, I'm sorry. Can I read you? Okay. Do you not agree that having the minority leader as a sign-off on that suspension is in and of itself, because we are the most marginalized group in the House as the minority? Isn't that in and of itself a check and balance? And I certainly give deference to my colleague and dear friend, Representative Williams. I was speaking in terms of political affiliation or party affiliation, more accurately stated. Isn't that in and of itself a check?
It's okay, but like a lot of things that happen here in the building, it takes power away from the rank and file representatives, and it takes away the responsibility and accountability for how this place operates from those people. You know, you've all had to do it. You've all had to talk to your constituents, whether you're out there knocking doors or just getting a coffee at the local coffee shop, and they're like, man, I hate those last 2 days. I hate it when you guys do. They can't tell what's going on, whatnot. It would be one thing to say, well, hey, it's not my problem. I'm not the one in charge. I think it's a better approach to say each and every one of us has a say in how this body conducts its business. So you're right. When a minority leader agrees, that says something about the business that's about to be conducted. But I think history shows us that a lot of the bad bills come out of this building during that time. And maybe we can change it for the better. There's nothing that says we can't.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Representative Bennett, I'd like to repeat what I said earlier about, I think the problem's not rule suspension, etc., which is what we should. But beyond that, this is the fourth rules committee hearing that I've been to, in the sense of the official one. I'm very glad to see it is getting the attention it deserves, and I think this can help educate the public on a lot of things. I hope that everybody continues to do that. That said, while I firmly believe a lot more bills should come to substantive votes in this body than do for current budget reasons, taking votes on things like rule suspensions and really esoteric concepts that are easy to use as hammers against people politically in an unfair way. I will tell you that when I was minority leader, every year I agreed at the end of session to suspend the rules. Again, I want to be clear, we're not suspending all the rules, you know this, but for the public.
Right.
We're talking about certain limited suspension of posting agreements. Every time I did that in exchange for getting some assurances as to what was not going to happen, which is something the public doesn't see. There was no new legislation coming in at the last minute. It never happened. I was willing to take the political heat in that position as minority leader because I could explain it, I could explain it to my constituents, and I could defend the members that I was representing. If you make people take a vote on it, I don't know if that's really the best thing to do from a political point of view. It's just something that seems fair to me. And the real bigger point is, if the majority of minority leaders would agree to do it anyway, you know you're going to get the 2/3 votes. It's a practical matter. Whereas if you can just do it 2/3 of the body, you have a lopsided partisan division. I know we can do this now anyhow. But I would suggest that the Democrats in this chamber, no matter who's the speaker, would never dare to vote 2/3 on the floor against the wishes of the Republican minority to suspend the rules. You see what I'm saying? And so I think the way it's set up now, it's not perfect, but I don't think your proposed change makes it better. And I think the real issue is in the sub-age. I think you agree with me, but I think that's the real issue. That's not.
Well, I think you hit the nail on the head when you said, when you agreed to do it, you had some assurances. Of course, the public didn't see that, and that's the issue, right?
No, I understand that, but if we vote to do it, there's no assurances. When I say there are assurances, there are assurances the public would firmly be in favor of. I'm talking about, we'll suspend the posting requirements, but we guarantee there's not going to be surprise legislation at the last second. In my 6 years, that never happened. Those promises were kept. If you vote on the body on the floor, you don't have those promises. You really do open up the door to a lot of things. That's my point.
Well, and so if we follow my proposal to its logical end, we won't spend a lot of time or take a lot of votes to suspend the rules. We'll operate this place in accordance with the rules that we voted in January all the way through the session, and I think that would be the norm, and that's what I would prefer. I really, you said it yourself. I think I heard you on the radio the other day, and I copied you flagrantly. And I said you cannot take the politics out of politics. I get that. We're going to talk to each other. We're going to talk to each other in the back room and whatnot. But people have the right, and we should give them the opportunity to see as much of the process as possible. The only objection, your objections are new to me today. The objections that I've heard in the past around this rule are, hey, it's going to extend our session way out into the summertime. We're part-time legislators, and we want to get out of here too. And my response to that is, we can start doing substantive work earlier in the session, and I think we can still make our June dates. We typically, the state of Texas gets together every 2 years. It meets for 4 or 5 months and gets it done. We can do the same.
Representative Liebenfeld.
Thank you, Chairman. Currently, if the minority leader and the majority leader agree to suspend the rules, at any point, the minority leader or the majority leader can pull the ripcord and end that suspension. If 2/3 of the body vote to suspend the rules, how do the rules become unsuspended?
That's a good question. And I don't have a ready answer to that. I envision this rule change in the context of the end of the year. where we suspend the rules and we keep them suspended until we adjourn, pass the budget, pass our 250 odd bills in 24 to 36 hours and get out of here. And then we come back in January and set up a whole new rule structure again. So I haven't thought about your question, but I'm imagining it in the context of end of session. To be sure, you could, I mean, if you let your imagination go, you could really think of times where you could suspend the rules and keep keep an assembly in place. Those are, I'm thinking of like times of insurrection and that kind of thing. I mean, that's very few and far between.
So I see the minority leaders involvement as a protection, because we get too hectic. If things start coming to the floor where people aren't having the opportunity to do due diligence, I think the minority leader has the ability to just stop it all. If we're suspending it for 2/3, I think we need to think about a mechanism to unsuspend.
I think you're right. And you know, not for nothing, this doesn't have to be a either or. It can be both an agreement of the majority and minority leader and 2/3 of the body. What's wrong with that? The point is, we shouldn't do it all that often because it pulls the wool over the eyes of the voters, even if everybody in the building is on their absolute best behavior and we're doing the work we're actually supposed to do. If they can't see it, right? If they can't see it, then, you know, it's an incubator for distrust.
Chairman McNamara.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Representative Knight, on page 20, line 21, I'm just going to read you the page, line 23. A rule may be temporarily suspended with the consent of the majority or minority leader, or by a vote 2/3 of the members, except in the case of rules pertaining to recording of votes being suspended. When the minority and majority leader agree to suspend the rule, they say without objection. We have had objections, in which case it goes to a vote. How does your proposal differ from the language that is currently there? Could you just clarify that?
So I came to the committee and I suggested the only way you do it would be 2/3 vote of the
Okay.
body. And then Rep. Lippy suggested, and as I think about it, it might be the better approach of both majority and minority leader agreement and 2/3 of the body. In other words, take that or, just the second word in on line 24, and change it to an and. Easily done.
Nothing like an economy of amendments.
Representative Knight, you had a couple of other things you wanted to say briefly.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chairman, and again, thank you to the body for your time. I know it's a long night. So there's a new section in the proposed rules about an investigative function, the new investigative function for the House. I see what's here, and I like Representative Kazarian. I applaud the impetus and the effort. I think that it needs to be fleshed out and really fleshed out. And I've done in my day job a little bit of Title IX work, and for anyone who knows, colleges and universities across the country have really been involved in a revolution of trying to figure out best practices when it comes to sexual harassment and sexual abuse investigations. There have been, and I've had the opportunity to be involved in that as some of that stuff as an attorney. I'm thinking that there's a lot of pieces in here that those entities out there that we can look to for guidance there's a lot of pieces that are missing that those entities out there have learned the hard way that they need. And I'm specifically wondering, and this is just more of a list for council to maybe take up, but the rule invokes a gag rule. I would question why we specifically need that.
I think that's going to be visited.
Right. Who would do the investigations? How is that investigator's independence assured? What would be the timeframes? Would there be an appeal? Would there be any opportunity to confront an accuser? And you can go both ways, but I think it's something that needs to be fleshed out. Is there a right to counsel for someone who's accused? Is there, there's a lot of different things that are going to come up once you get into the details. And I would I would encourage the committee to think about those and look to those universities out there and corporations and whatnot who have a more fleshed out rule and perhaps grab some ideas from